Bruce, thank you. Yeah, Music City is the setting for the opener in the nation's strongest conference. Perpetual SEC underdogs, Vanderbilt. Their do-it-all quarterback, Chris Nixon, and these guys are hungry for a landmark home win. But Steve Spurrier's Gamecocks arrive here in Nashville in a mood for payback. They were embarrassed in their backyard last year. This is a freshman tradition at Vanderbilt. The first-year students sprint out of the helmet, run the length of Vanderbilt Stadium, and then get up in the stands and try to make some noise. It's a fan blackout as Vanderbilt hopes to upset number 24th ranked South Carolina. And welcome to Music City. Chris Fowler, Craig James, and Jesse Palmer. Should be an interesting one here tonight. Both teams coming off a high, impressive performances in the opening game. For South Carolina, well, they were kind of sleepwalking a year ago when they lost at home to Vanderbilt. Totally different mood, different build-up tonight for the Gamecocks. They promised that. For Vanderbilt, it has been a quarter century, guys, since they made it to a bowl, had a winning season. They are so hungry. Tonight could be a big, big step if they could finally win their conference opening game here at home.
Well, if you're going to win a big game, you're going to get over the hump, then you got to find a way to get your quarterback involved. And the quarterback in this game is Chris Nixon. This guy can play. Vanderbilt's quarterback has the ability to evade the defenders, to get in the open space, and against the big linebackers at South Carolina, I think have a chance to make them miss. Sean Walker, that's number 7. That young man can absolutely fly, and he's got a little swagger to him. So that swagger is going to have to come from the quarterback, Nixon. Walker's going to have to make plays all over the field. They're going to put pressure on South Carolina to score as well.
And Chris Nixon is an all-SEC caliber quarterback. With South Carolina, Chris Smelley is going to get the start tonight. He didn't start a week ago against NC State, but when Tommy Beecher got injured, Chris Smelley was inserted in the fourth quarter and played lights out. He went 5 for 5 in that game, threw 2 touchdowns, and the offense really took on a different look when he was on the field playing. He's the most experienced quarterback South Carolina has. He's 4-2 as a starter there, and certainly Steve Spurrier is hoping that Chris Smelley can pick up here tonight where he left off a week ago against NC State.
And not where he left off a year ago when he threw a couple of picks against Vanderbilt in the loss. And here's Aaron Andrews on the field with Steve Spurrier.
Chris, thanks. Coach, with Chris Smelley in tonight as quarterback, you said you want him to play like he practiced. What specifically do you need to see?
Well, he has practiced pretty well. The conditions right now are very good to throw it around a bit. So hopefully our pass protection needs to be better.
With Tommy Beecher getting hurt last week, if Smelley has to come out, who do you go to tonight?
Well, I think Tommy's available to play, but we're hoping Chris can go the distance.
All right, Coach, thank you. Chris?
Aaron, thank you. His counterpart on the Vanderbilt sideline, Bobby Johnson. He's one of 4 guys on the Commodore staff, a native of South Carolina. In fact, he used to work at the concession stand at Williams-Brice Stadium when he was a kid. He's in his 7th season, and he would love, although he doesn't like to hype this game, fellas, he's the wrong guy to go to if you want to try to build a game up and figure out its meaning, but he knows it'd be huge to go to 2-0 tonight.
But I get the sense being around Bobby that he really is one of those guys when he's in a locker room, his quiet intensity is infectious.
Yeah, it sure is, and he's got a good pulse on his football team. A great opportunity tonight to get a big win against a ranked opponent at home.
Well, Johnson's offense with Chris Nixon, the quarterback, won the toss. They will take the football first. They'll work into the wind, which is a pretty stiff breeze blowing right to left. And there's the talented DJ Moore and a big 91-yard punt return in the opener against Miami, Ohio. But Ryan Suckup with the wind at his back is a pretty good kicker, and it's unlikely they'll get a return. And that one lands about 6 yards behind the end line. So there's Nixon. He's a runner. He's the SEC Offensive Player of the Week based on that 166-yard rushing performance against Miami of Ohio.
This guy is dynamic. He can hurt you running the football. He runs this spread offense. They pull a lot of linemen. He is a weapon. Miami of Ohio found out the hard way last week.
But as a quarterback, you know, Jesse, you got to have help up front. The key to this football game and getting Nixon unloaded is that offensive line. Can they deal with South Carolina's front?
Can they create some big plays? That's been the problem for Vandy over the years. They were able to do it against a MAC team last week. Whole different deal against this defense that pitched a shutout in their opener. First play, they hand it off to Jared Hawkins, and the veteran is hammered hard. Wow, that was Emmanuel Cook, the top tackler on the Gamecock defense, who leveled him after a 5-yard gain. Here's the impact player starting with Nixon.
Yeah, you know what? This is a guy that has the ability to throw the football. Although, you know, Jesse, when we study him, we don't really know that he can do that yet efficiently. We know he can run.
The Vandy offensive line lost 5 senior starters from a year ago. Bradley Veerling is the vocal leader of this offense. He needs a big game today.
Well, they got to get the ball to Sean Walker. He's one of their speedy wide receivers. They're very thin at that position because of injuries. So they brought in DJ Moore, their excellent corner and return man. He's in there in motion. They fake it to him and hand it off to Hawkins, who crosses the 30. He'll be near the marker. Eric Norwood on the stop.
An outstanding job of play calling. They're going to have to be creative in the backfield tonight to move around and have South Carolina guessing with DJ Moore, a defensive back, also offensive special.
I like how they're getting DJ Moore in the game. Not necessarily a ball carrier, but he can hurt a defense as a decoy, and you saw it right there.
Yeah, he is a speedster, excellent corner. We talked about his return skills. They just need playmakers on this Vanderbilt offense, and he brings a very quick burst. In motion is Walker, and now it's a reverse. The first of perhaps many trick plays. Jamie Graham picks up about 5. Jordan Lindsay on the stop. South Carolina's so speedy, they're going to have to get him with deception.
Well, deception, yes. You know what? This is one of those offenses, though, that really, if they're a disciplined group, that's a very dangerous toss on that reverse. If they don't make a mistake, they have a chance.
They have a chance as long as they can limit their mistakes. This team only had 2 penalties a week ago against Miami of Ohio. It's a smart bunch. They got to play smart tonight.
An option look. He takes the pitch, and he is hammered and coughs up the football. The Gamecocks have it inside the 20. Darian Stewart arrived almost simultaneously with the pitch.
This is a great defensive call by Ellis Johnson. Anticipating the run, he loads the box with Darian Stewart. You'll see him come out of the right side of your screen, sniffs out the option. That's great assignment. Football is able to force the fumble.
That extra guy in the box is unaccounted for, and he fills the alley. Stewart, a kind of a linebacker type player, will come up and put his hat on football. This guy has a bad foot. Doesn't look like it's ailing him too much there, does it?
Now here comes Chris Smelley at quarterback. He's the guy that basically lost the job in the spring with 5 picks in the scrimmage. That's why they went, you know, last week with Beecher, but his 4 picks give Smelley another chance. You always have another chance, Jesse, when you
always have. That's one thing you know. You might get pulled, but you know you're going to have a chance to come back in. And one thing he did, he took advantage of his opportunity in last week's 4th quarter.
Mike Davis hammered in the backfield, and a very hard-earned gain as the veteran hammers inside the 15. He's 207. He's dropped weight from last year, leaner and quicker, but he's still plenty strong. For the offense, there's Smelley.
Well, and you see right there, Kenny McKinley is the guy that he's going to early on, but Smelley has to avoid the turnover and the interceptions early on so he doesn't get the game.
Mike Davis has to be effective here tonight. He had his 4th career 100-yard game a week ago. He sets the tempo for this offense.
And McKinley is chasing all the school records. That's a catch now in 35 consecutive games. Very tough. Wrestled down. It should set up a 1st and goal. So McKinley, the early target for Smelley.
Well, he's a confidence builder for any quarterback. To the left, move and block in front of him, get the ball in his hands, and he make yards after the catch.
There's no question Kenny McKinley.
First and goal as McKinley comes in motion. It's Davis. About 3. John Stokes on the stop. Exactly what Vanderbilt did not want to have happen with a good atmosphere in a home game. The early turnover, putting the defense in a tough position.
They had an early turnover last week against Miami of Ohio. They were able to fight and face the adversity, come back. They're going to face some adversity here. South Carolina trying to get on the board early.
Davis, but Patrick DeMarco, the fullback, in front of him. Smelley, pressure. And dropped. Greg Bellinger got him. And South Carolina, which gave up 5 sacks in the opener, troubled by the pass rush again.
Well, the play action pass, because of Davis's running ability on the right side, they're going to try to sneak over here to where they can throw the ball to the tight end. But Smelley's got the pressure in his face immediately, Jesse. No chance to throw.
What's really impressive to me is there's 3 new starters on the defensive line for Vanderbilt. They have gotten good push so far in passing situations.
3rd and goal with the ball back at the 14. Big play for the home dogs to keep the Gamecocks out of the end zone here. Smelley looking for McKinley. Touchdown! Kenny McKinley beat his man, Myron Lewis, one-on-one. The all-SEC receiver has been almost the exclusive target so far of his quarterback.
And Vandy went right back to the same look. It was bump and run, man coverage across the board. And this was simply a fade pattern to Kenny McKinley against cornerback Myron Lewis. You see him just break outside, and a nice job by Chris Smelley throwing it to the outside shoulder, giving him a chance to go up and make the play.
Ryan Suckup for the conversion. So what a swing play in this game. After the sack and the penalty pushed him back to the 19, McKinley cashes it in.
Well, you know what? Jared Cook goes to the sideline because of his false start, and it gives one-on-one to the left of McKinley. They take advantage of it. 6 points.
And Suckup with the excellent leg strength drives it midway in the end zone, and this is DJ Moore taking a shot. DJ Moore and a Sutter steps up to the 20-yard line. Let's go to Aaron Andrews on the sidelines. Yeah.
Well, Chris, Commodores head coach Bobby Johnson told us this week he didn't want to put too much emphasis on this game. It's just another game in the SEC. You play just as many tough opponents throughout the schedule. But in talking to some of the Vanderbilt players, they said, Coach is ready for this game. He's pretty wired to go. Grew up in South Carolina, shared a story with us that he actually would sell concessions during Gamecock games so he could get in for free. He said, I only sold through the first half. I'd quit at halftime so I could watch the second half. What was he selling? RC Cola. So he says he wasn't making that much anyways.
He maintained he did work in the first half, and he just became a spectator after halftime. Hawkins, he tried the left side for no gain.
I got something for you, EA. I did some homework now, a little research. RC Cola back in the 50s was considered the working man's lunch in the South, along with what? What did they have with that RC Cola?
In the 50s?
Yes.
I wasn't even a thought back then.
It's all right. We got the internet now. You could have done some research.
Bologna and white bread?
No, a moon pie. They had moon pies. Moon pies and RC Cola. They'd put a little salted peanuts in the RC Cola. There you go.
You have too much time, James.
I know it.
Was that an afternoon Google search for you?
That was a Google time.
You really do go deep with the preparation. 2nd and 9. Nixon still got it. And he shows his elusiveness, but it's tough to outrun the Gamecocks. Once again, Stewart, the man who forced and recovered the fumble, was there, forced Nixon to hurdle him.
This defense from South Carolina looks a lot differently, and they run a lot differently than Miami of Ohio from a week ago. You watch these guys, how they're able to go sideline to sideline. That's a defensive line chasing him over to the sideline. He had 166 yards a week ago. It's going to be tough sledding against a much more athletic South Carolina defense tonight.
3rd and 5. Nixon overshoots his man downfield. Justin Wheeler, the intended receiver. Nixon hit as he let it go. Jasper Brinkley with the pressure, and a punt into the wind coming from Vanderbilt.
Well, that's the real damage that happens to your team when you have a turnover in the previous series. You feel like you have to go back out. They've scored 7, so you almost feel like you have to. When really they came into the game expecting a lot of 3 and outs.
So Upson to punt to Captain Munnerlyn. Struggled with his first punt. Hudson. The captain is never shy about fielding it in traffic. That's a flag. They got too close to him. Munnerlyn does not like to fair catch the football. Jamie Graham, the receiver, was down there on the coverage team.
I'll tell you what, not fair catching that, though, on your own 5-yard line, that's rolling the dice.
Yeah.
I know he's a good athlete. He's got great hands, but boy, oh boy, I could easily go the other way.
Interference with the opportunity to make a fair catch. on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Now, you know, you sit here and you punt at midfield, and I just had given you the positive speech here. He definitely is impeding the ability for the punt return.
He went off his helmet with the football.
Yeah.
Before he got to punt.
That's a 15-yard return right there, basically, is what that is.
Give Captain Muddin a lot of credit. He's got a lot of confidence in those mitts of his. Boy, oh boy.
9 seconds to play in this first quarter.
You messed that up, though. You go from captain down to private pretty soon.
Steve's not afraid to demote a guy, is he? Or fire him altogether. After the interception, they come back with a running play to Davis. Nothing on the final play of the first quarter. But the fumble by Vanderbilt sets up the touchdown pass from Smelley to McKinley, and the 24th ranked visitors up by a touch at the end of one. ESPN's college football crew literally lives there. When they were in Nashville, it's just across a very small street. Oh, yeah, okay.
Chris, you advertised.
I worked all afternoon on that nice little thing. Did you like my lettering? I could have done the game from behind the glass there. I could have.
Wait a minute. Well, I thought you said you had a suite on the corner.
You're on the 4th floor there.
You're Chris Fowler.
I said they were sold out. Smelley takes a downfield shot, throws it up. He's working into the wind now in the second quarter over the head of Jared Cook.
I'm just curious to see if this wind's going to play an effect in this football game, depending on what side each offense is on. There certainly is an advantage for a team passing the football with the wind rather than against it, and that might have played an effect in throwing that ball incomplete.
Maybe overcompensating because he overthrew him despite going into the wind.
And a different kind of pass rush there, too. Only 4 going after, 7 dropping. Different look.
It's Matt Clements in the game and in motion. And delayed handoff. It's a nice little gain by Davis across the 35. He should have a first down. Patrick Benoit on the stop.
There's been one saving grace for the South Carolina team last week and this week. On 3rd and long, they've actually been quite effective. This is a great play call. Just give the draw to Mike Davis. Let him go get it for you. And a nice job by the line fitting up at the second level.
On the left side of the line, the rush and the blitz came. The pressure from Vandy came. They went away from it with the draw, the little lag draw by Mike Davis. Knows exactly where he needs to get for the first down.
Nice throw. Cook's got it. Down to the 35, Jared Cook. He's made the 2 biggest pass receptions for this Gamecock offense tonight. Okay, Reese first down after the catch by Cook. And a wide open Cook is missed by Smelley. Oh boy. Confusion back there, and Cook was all alone.
Watch this here. You talk about finding a weakness. Jared Cook is dominating the secondary and the linebackers. He's on the left side of your screen. He's going to hook up and then, I'm going down the field, balls.
That's a throw Chris Smelley is going to want to get back. They've already thrown that in route that we just saw being run by Matt Clements a couple times. Very nicely dialed up by Steve Spurrier. But you got to hit those when you get a chance.
It was Nathan Campbell who just got confused and let Cook go.
Another empty backfield here for South Carolina.
The rush forward, don't get near him, intercepted. It's picked off. Darian Speed shows his and gets knocked out inside the 30. A desperately needed big play from this Commodore defense. And Speed is down on the sidelines after the 41-yard return. Oh, he's holding the hamstring. Good effort on that return. He'll set up the Commodores down inside the 25.
Here's what you call the intelligent angle when you're covering. On the left side of your screen, you see how Speed comes in, and look what he does. Poor throw by Smelley. He's got to feel that guy there.
You know, also the wide receiver let Darren Speed undercut him on that throw. South Carolina has been trying to attack the middle of the football field, and look who it is, Mo Brown. Last week, all 4 interceptions thrown by Tommy Beecher were thrown at Mo Brown. That's 5 interceptions now. All of those balls thrown to Mo Brown.
You see blaming the receiver on that one?
No. He was undercut. That's his bad.
Let him throw it to Mo Brown.
You're a country music fan, Greg James.
Yes.
You know what Ryman Auditorium there was, right?
Yes, Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah.
I went there as a young boy.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
It closed in '74.
I went with my grandmother here one time, Opryland, USA. On the roller coaster, her wig blew off. You talk about embarrassing. Stopping the ride to pick up her wig.
Wow, that's a good story out of nowhere there. I didn't know you had that.
Got all kinds of stuff for you.
All right, see if the Commodores can cash in. Nixon shows the quicks, picks up 10. All right, so he struggled with his throw-in tonight, but he's certainly always comfortable as a runner.
This is what he's got to get back to, really. He is a threat to run and hurt a defense all over the football field. Last week against Miami of Ohio, he had runs of 59 yards and 35 yards. He can run outside in the sweep, he can run the draw, and he can also create when the pocket breaks down.
Well, remember, this is a young man that in '06 accounted for nearly 2,800 yards. He's been there, done that. He was injured last year, so they know he has the ability to get it done.
Let's see if Commodores can cash in his interception. On 2nd and 8, they try the option again. Nixon keeps it. That's been the most productive of the 3 times they run the option, but he still only got about 3 before Cliff Matthews and Norwood chased him down.
But I like this because Vanderbilt now is getting back to what they do. It's the misdirection, moving guys in motion, multiple formations, pulling offensive linemen. And Chris Nixon, the biggest weapon on offense for Vanderbilt, is carrying the load as they're marching this football.
They don't want to settle for 3 here on 3rd and 4. On the end around, trying to fight for the first down. And he stopped short. And it was Jamie Graham. Thought he had a chance to score. He did get just enough for the first down.
It's all about angles. From the right side of your screen, you're going to see Justin Wheeler, number 80. They've had angles from the time this drive started. Blocking, boom. Excellent job of getting his head in front. Now, Graham's got to get around there and get a little bit more upfield.
Jamie Graham, very special athlete. He's the only student athlete in the SEC to play both football and basketball. He was on that basketball team that made it to the NCAA tournament this year.
Very good defensive player in hoops as a guard, but an offensive guy here. 1st and goal. And hammer it straight ahead, Jared Hawkins. Norwood on the stop. It's going to be tough to muscle the ball up the middle against these guys.
Yes, exactly where I was going with you there. You know, this is where you find out if this young offensive line at Vanderbilt has the moxie to get involved and get in somebody's ear.
That's a tough front 7 to push. You're not just talking about the defensive line. You got 2 linebackers at the next level.
At 280 pounds.
280 pounds, are you kidding me?
Now, this defense is built to be stout on the goal line. Hawkins, nowhere to run, so he cuts it up inside, picks up about a yard. Again, it's Matthews and Norwood. The option wasn't there.
Well, he missed his cut, really. You know, Nixon tried to get outside, and he just missed. 71, Joe Bailey, the right guard, was pushed deep in the backfield. The cut needed to be made underneath him.
Eric Norwood did a really nice job there, just anticipating and collapsing down, making a tackle. For a guy that didn't play outside linebacker a year ago, he looks pretty good.
All right, Fowler, what do you do? Is this 2-down territory? You take the points. You thinking 6?
I'm thinking 6. They've only converted 1 of 5 third downs tonight. This is certainly the biggest so far. Power formation, 2 tight ends. Nixon on the edge, chased, fires high. Well, they were all over him again. It was Norwood pressuring him. He was looking for Austin Monahan. He didn't have much time at all. Now it is 4th and 2.
And Emmanuel Cook comes screaming off the top of your screen to put the pressure on Chris Nixon and force the bad throw. Yet another example of just this raw speed from South Carolina on defense.
Yeah, you know, Monahan just got tripped up, though. It messed up the timing of the play. But South Carolina's defense, which has not given up points yet this year, keeps them out of the end zone.
Brian Honfelt, senior kicker from 19 yards, tries to get the Commodores on the board. But that's a victory for the South Carolina defense as they keep Vanderbilt out of the end zone despite a 1st and goal on the 4. Back in Music City, the interception by Speed set Vanderbilt up at the 30-yard line of South Carolina. It took 9 plays to go 28 yards, but Steve Spurrier and Ellis Johnson's defense able to keep Vandy out of the end zone. First 3 points the Gamecocks have allowed this season. And Chris Smelley will go back on offense and see if he can regain some of that rhythm and some of that confidence. 2 interceptions. The South Carolina trigger man. Chris Culliver has a crease, and Culliver takes off. Still juking the midfield. So the speedy sophomore defensive back who doubles as a returner gives South Carolina good momentum. It's a diving catch by Dion LaCorn on the far sidelines. Kind of a wobbly throw from Smelley, and a good job from LaCorn, who caught a touchdown last week.
You know what? Every time Vanderbilt blitzes from the right side this time, Smelley's been smart enough to go opposite. He's got the single coverage, open space, a lot of pasture to throw to.
And South Carolina able to run DJ Moore, the outstanding cornerback from Vandy, out of the area to allow Dion LaCorn an open area to go make a great catch, move these sticks.
No throw, nope, hit the carpet before LaCorn could grab it. Aaron, what have you got?
Chris, bad news from South Carolina's sideline. Kenny McKinley out of the game. He has a right leg injury. They're not saying what it is or how he did it. I just walked by him on the sideline, asked him if he was okay, and he said he wasn't.
It certainly is bad news. There you see McKinley, who's chasing down the school records for receptions and receiving yards that Sterling Sharp owns. He is the favorite target of whoever is quarterbacking in South Carolina.
Empty backfield again.
Smelley hit and sacked. On the blitz, Patrick Benoit, the linebacker, got him back at the 32. 3rd and 16. Pressure again. Smelley able to step away. A risky throw to LaCorn on the sideline, but nowhere near the first down.
It's a very risky play, but it keeps South Carolina in field goal position here with the clock winding down the half to try to get another 3 points and build a 7-point lead going into halftime. But man, oh man, live and die by the sword. You want to throw that ball late on the sidelines like that. Woo. A danger.
And there's Ryan Suckup from 41 yards. He's a rock solid kicker. Excellent leg strength, very accurate from about that range. And so on the final play of the first half, Spurrier's team uses the fake punt to set up the field goal, and they'll take a 10-3 lead to the locker room. Vanderbilt with 50 total yards in this first half against the stout Gamecock defense. Very fortunate to be in this game. We expected both defenses to dominate. It's been a story of turnovers in the first half. Let's check with EA and the ball coach.
Coach, you said you needed a better performance out of your offensive line here than last week. What's your message to them?
Well, we've pass blocked actually pretty well, I think, most of the time. We've had a couple of errant throws here and there, but our defense is playing well. Hopefully we can mix it up a little better offensively.
How would you assess Smelley's performance?
Well, he's done okay. He's missed a few here and there, but we're going with him. He's doing okay.
All right, Coach, thanks. Chris.
Pretty obvious that the story of the Gamecocks in 08 is all about the defense. Let's go back to Reese, Lou, and Mark, the Pontiac G6 halftime report. So Darian Stewart forces and recovers the fumble. Smelley to McKinley with the only touchdown in the first half. McKinley has since left the game. We're told he will not return. They had ice on his knee in the first half. That's bad news for the top receiver. The good news for South Carolina, very, very stout defense. They allow 50 total yards. They had a sack. They had the takeaway.
Yeah, they did. You know what? You talk about this defense in South Carolina. We knew they had the opportunity to be good. They have some players over there. Now they've shown up tonight. But last week, they didn't show what they're showing right now. They're getting after it. They're flying around, and they're containing Chris Nixon.
It's an athletic bunch. We've seen their ability to run sideline to sideline, keep plays in front of them. A lot of really good athletes on that side of the football.
And we'll talk about what Nixon and the brain trust for Vandy might need to do to create some big plays. Their longest play tonight, 11 yards, and that was on 3rd and 23. But it's the Gamecocks who will get the football to start the second half. Line drive kick with the win carries out of the end zone. So the coaching adjustments brought to you as always by the Home Depot.
All right, well, with in mind Kenny McKinley is out, you got to have more Mike Davis. Mike Davis is a guy who can set the tempo on the inside. He's had 10 carries for 33 yards, but a lot of good third down runs, which will open up another weakness in that Vandy defense.
Jared Cook has been a mismatch nightmare for the Vandy defense. Now that Kenny McKinley is out, they have to find creative ways to line him up and continue getting those mismatches in the passing game.
Cook, 3 catches for 50 yards. A little bit of an up and down first half for Smelley in his first start of the season, but that's been the story of his career. And motion DeMarco out of the fullback position on first down, and Smelley says, no, Patrick, get back over there, please. And he's a blocker for Davis. Short game. Down to Aaron Andrews.
Chris had a chance to speak with Vandy head coach Bobby Johnson on the way out from the locker room. He said the message was positive at the half, but he just told his guys, you need to hang in there, particularly with the offensive line. He said South Carolina defensively is doing a lot of things that they didn't do against NC State. They're trying to sort it out, but more importantly, be patient. When his team has the ball, he says they need to put it in the air, take the pressure off the running backs and Chris Nixon. Guys, by the way, the defense, we saw Darlon Speed go down after he made that interception. He is done for the game with a right leg injury.
Oh, thanks, Ian. That was a huge play for the Commodores. Set up that field goal. There's Davis who fumbles the football. DeMarco falls on it. And wow, nearly a disastrous play for South Carolina. Ryan Hamilton there to force it.
You know what, when you talk about this defense, they have got to come up and make a play and get lucky. You know what, you talk about the hump games, getting over the hump. Somewhere a ball has to bounce their way.
The Vanderbilt offense right now is struggling getting big plays and getting big chunks. So you figure for Vanderbilt to win this game, they got to take advantage of a miscue from South Carolina.
And how about DeMarco? He doesn't get stats, but he had the little carry for the fake punt first down, which set up the field goal. And now the key fumble recovery, 3rd and 7. Capit on the ground with Davis, and he dives toward the 30, but he will not get the first down, and Myron Lewis credited with tripping him up. So Spurrier lucky to dodge the fumble, but it's a 3-and-out to open the 3rd quarter. And this punt will be into the win. And the dangerous DJ Moore on the receiving end. It's a good boot considering the breeze. Moore at the 25. Good coverage. Stumbled a bit. Comes up with about a 3-yard return. 3 receivers to the right of Nixon. Jared Hawkins is the tailback. Nixon keeps it. Boy, they had him sealed at the edge there. He turns it inside for a short gain. Marvin Sapp would not give him the corner.
One thing that I can see early on, is they're standing up at the end out here. They're standing up the outside guy, and that's allowing, you know, the guessing to take place up front. Don't know what's going on with the old telly. Somebody that
there's a glitch there, my friend. Yeah, it's been a long time. 1992, the last time they beat a ranked team here was a 25th ranked Ole Miss team that got hammered by the Commodores on that day. Starting to get a little drive going on 2nd and 5. Nixon fires. Incomplete. Austin Monahan couldn't hold on, and let's revisit a very painful memory for the Vanderbilt faithful here. This game really changed the complexion of the BCS championship chase. Again, they led 24-9. Volunteers took the lead, and Brian Honfeld, this year's kicker, just grazing the upright. I mean, an inch the other way. Vanderbilt wins. Perhaps the drought of bowls ends. Tennessee doesn't win the division. Georgia does. They play LSU. Maybe they get a chance at the national championship. Huge implications on that one missed field goal. And that's kind of told the story for Vanderbilt. So close so often, but not quite. They need 5 on 3rd down. This time, good protection. But it breaks down at the end, and Cliff Matthews has got him. No fumble, but a sack from Matthews, the speedy edge pass rusher.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this three-man defensive line, using Norwood, a former defensive lineman, now linebacker, to sometimes walk up, is the difference. Outside, Cliff Matthews has a lot of speed, so what they're saying here is, we're going to keep you underneath us, right? We're going to drop 8 and keep you underneath us.
And it's not the type of defense as a quarterback that's easy to create against. If you don't have it, you really got to be disciplined and throw the football away, because these guys will chase you down and they'll sack you.
A high snap gathered in by Upson. Captain Munnerlyn lets it bounce. I believe that hit a Gamecock, and the Commodores have fallen on it on the 30. Well, the short punt hit the foot of Addison Williams, who was trying to block for Munnerlyn, and the Gamecocks get a huge mental mistake and a break for Vanderbilt.
When you see the return guy, Munnerlyn, trying to signal away, get away from the football. Number 7, Addison Williams, not watching, not looking, and it's the ball that hits him in the leg. Huge break for Vanderbilt.
That's the verbal, though. Munnerlyn, the punt returner, has to be hollering, Peter, get out of the way. Peter, get out of the way. Either he didn't hear him or he wasn't hollering out the call.
Ryan Hamilton with the recovery. Vanderbilt down by 7, given the kind of break this offense needs. The third Gamecock turnover sets up the Commodores. Nixon fakes the handoff, fires downfield, has a man, jump ball, touchdown! Brendan Barton, the tight end, 31 yards, finally. The Commodores get a big play. Little deception there. They sent the tight end deep.
That's what they were successful with offensively early in the game. The misdirections, the bootleg. Smart job of Nixon pulling up early and getting down the field, knowing where his tight end's going to be.
Good job by Barton. His second catch of the season, first touchdown. The confidence-building throw from Nixon, and now Honfelt ties the game at 10. So that costly misplay on the punt, and Vanderbilt cashes it in one play.
Tell you what, this is Chris Nixon just using his athletic ability. This is going to be a misdirection bootleg. They fake the reverse, he rolls out. He's able to pull up on Jordan Lindsay, and that's just a great job, just seeing the field and giving his tight end a chance. You see the big tight end Barton go up over Captain Munnerlyn, the best cover guy for South Carolina. Vanderbilt has to take advantage of the big play opportunities they get in this game, because there aren't going to be that many.
Honfelt to kick it away. Let's see what the Gamecock offense can do now. This game is tied. Tulliver. He's got plenty of speed, but too much dancing, and he'll be dropped inside the 15. That'll help build the momentum for Vanderbilt. This Gamecock offense again operating without Kenny McKinley. Their top receiver is out injured, and Davis gets the pitch and gets about 3. Well, we certainly hope it's not a serious injury to McKinley. He's again just closing in on all those career receiving records that Sterling Sharp has. He only needs 10 more catches to get the career record. Standing at number 3, only about 290 yards short of the school record. Again, all those would be pretty much a slam dunk if he could stay healthy. Looks to be okay. At least it's a good sign he's up on his feet. But done for the night. Second and 5, Smelley fires to Cook, and Cook with a nice catch out near midfield.
This is what Chris Smelley did so well in the fourth quarter against NC State. Trusting the area of the field he's throwing it in, trusting his receiver's going to be there, and then throwing it on time. This is just double seam down the field. He's got his tight end, Jared Cook, running a post in the middle. That ball has to be thrown right on time, or it is intercepted, guaranteed.
How are those hands, huh? Fingertip catch.
And this is the guy that's got to step up and start making plays. You mentioned Kenny McKinley out. Jared Cook has to make his presence felt.
He's been the top target tonight, 4 for 74. 24 yards on that catch, and a first down throw from Smelley, who takes a shot downfield, and there'll be a flag. Mo Brown was double covered. Jared Fagan, one of the backup defensive backs in coverage, joined by Ryan Hamilton, but a pretty clear penalty.
Well, you get a feeling now, right now, that Spurrier Jr. making some calls over there feels like he's got a chance to make a big play down the field. Mo Brown, again, going deep, trying to get Mo Brown down the field for the big play. But you know what? That's an interesting call into the wind.
The ball was uncatchable. There's no foul on the play.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty liberal interpretation of uncatchable.
Well, it's 5 yards.
I think that's a good call. I like that call. The wind certainly brings that football back into the middle of the football field. There's no way Mo Brown's catching that pass. But I like the call from Steve Spurrier Jr. It's smelling blood. You gash him on a big play to Jared Cook and just take a shot, because you haven't done that yet if you're South Carolina.
There's Myron Lewis, the corner running out. He's the man beaten earlier by McKinley for the touchdown. 2nd and 10. Davis has a crease. Mike Davis darts inside the 40 for a first down.
We saw this last week at South Carolina as the defense of NC State started wearing down late in the game. It became the Mike Davis show, gashing the defense. You see it right here. We're into the second half, and Mike Davis starting to make his presence felt.
Linebackers have got to find it. They got to feel. They got to be around the play. Watch whenever the linebacker comes up, 30's there, gets cut. Excellent job by the fullback taking out the linebacker, Patrick Benoit.
Yeah, DeMarco, another fine block. 14-yard gain gives Davis 64 yards tonight. Gunning for a second straight 100-yard game, and he's got it again. And he's got more yardage. Mike Davis cuts it back and hammers inside the 25, and they really appear to be wearing down this Commodore defense now, Jesse.
All of a sudden, a lot of those runs we saw earlier in this game that were 2, 3, 4-yard gains are turning into 12 and 14-yard gashers at a time. Look at the hole and the job by Patrick DeMarco getting up, giving him a lane to get into that secondary.
They got to get off the blocks. You know what? You have to get off, and sometimes fatigue plays a part of that, but you got to get off the blocks defensively.
Taylor Rank replacing Davis, and he's got it. Short game.
And you know what? This is a defense now. We just saw Myron Lewis go off. We saw Speed, another guy, go off
for the game. Yeah.
And so you've got a secondary now that's not as experienced as what you'd want. That was the strength of your defense.
It looked like Ryan Hamilton was limping a bit as well a couple of plays ago, the safety.
And Hamilton, he either could have had a shot at an interception or a blow-up on Jared Cook, the tight end, while ago, and didn't take that shot.
Here comes the corn in motion on 2nd and 8. Smelley pumps, throws. And that's, again, an incompletion looking for Mo Brown, the guy that seems to have a tough time being on the same wavelength as Smelley. Aaron?
The guys on the Vanderbilt defense right now, as you guys mentioned, really taking some blows. Every time they're bringing a guy in or out, he's either limping, like you mentioned. Rashard Langford, he came out, he looked like he got hit in the chest really hard, gasping for breath, so they're certainly getting beaten up pretty good over here on the Commodore sideline.
And that secondary is the strength of this Vandy defense. A lot of leadership there, but they cannot afford to lose their playmakers, or this thing could get ugly.
Davis is back in, and 4 receivers for Smelley on 3rd and 8. They rush 5. Davis is stopped for a loss. They get him in a run blitz there that works.
Good call, Chris. Absolutely. You know what? This is the first time out of about 6 calls in this game where they've not thrown away from that run blitz on the weak side. They've been throwing it to the other side of the field.
So it's Suckup into the wind, but he's got plenty of leg. This will be 43 yards. Three for 3 on the season. It's blocked, and the Commodores have it. John Stokes picked up the block. A huge play sets up Vanderbilt near midfield. So we'll see if the Commodores can finally win a big game. They're tied late 3rd quarter. Vanderbilt scoring a touchdown following A muff punt off the foot of one of the up men, and then the block field goal. Greg Billinger made the block. The junior of Lilburn, Georgia. John Stokes picked it up and ran it to the 42, where Nixon and company take over. Another first down throw. Nixon firing over the middle, complete. And all of a sudden, Vanderbilt opening up the offense just a bit. Jamie Graham on the catch. 16 yards. The touchdown was also a first down throw.
All right, EA told us at halftime they made an adjustment defensively. There's 4 men on the defensive line in this series. It was 3. Now they've got 4 down linemen.
Chris Nixon again, just good vision as he's scrambling to his right, able to find his wide receiver Jamie Graham crossing his face. Again, we're starting to see Vanderbilt take advantage of big plays in the passing game.
Empty set for Nixon. 5 wide on first down. Batted in the air and almost intercepted. Oh, Darian Stewart tried to collect it off the carom.
Boy, clapping hands for Austin Monahan, the tight end, for going over and breaking up that interception. But hey, Jesse, Nixon's giving away right now what he's doing, because South Carolina backed up. Did you see they were expecting pass? It's 1st and 10. The linebackers backed up 8 yards.
Oh, they were 5 wide. Travian Robertson got his hand on the ball.
Hey, you know what? They backed up. They see and feel something out there on that call.
Certainly a rare formation for Vandy on first down.
How about
5
that?
wide, empty set.
Ted Kane starting to get a little more confident all of a sudden, his quarterback throwing the football.
Jared Hawkins is the tailback. Here comes the reverse, and there goes Sean Walker. Walker gets away from Munnerlyn. Gets the sideline. Down to the 13. That's the guy they said they had to get the football to. Let Sean Walker use his speed. 29 yards.
I think coming into this football game, we had a lot of questions in terms of Vanderbilt's ability at wide receiver and which skill players could really make an impact. Well, Sean Walker is the fastest player on this Vanderbilt team, and he shows you right now why they got to find ways to get him the football.
I got to give a shout out to the center, Bradley Veerling. He got out there in the open space, did not make contact, but he made the defender worry about him, which allowed Walker to miss the tackler.
Five on the play clock. Here's the pitch. Hawkins. As the corner, Jared Hawkins hammers down to the 1.
This Vanderbilt offense right now looks completely different than what we saw at the beginning of the game now. Chris Nixon is in tune. Watch him read the keys. He sees Eric Norwood come off the edge. Right now, ball's coming out, gets into the hands of Jared Hawkins, and look at the guy blue.
Hey, how about the guy from Spring, Texas, wore his cowboy boots and spurs on that one. That's bringing it up the field, taking it to the rodeo.
Nice blocks from Wheeler and Monahan, and Vanderbilt about a foot away from taking the lead on South Carolina. Touchdown. The head ball coach is in a hole. All of a sudden, Ted Kane and the brain trust of Vanderbilt finding stuff that works. These 2 touchdowns set up by special teams plays. Guys, they had 50 yards at halftime. Got 96 so far in the 3rd quarter. Unfelt makes it a 17-10 game. And Vanderbilt can feel it. Pressure right back on Chris Smelley and the Gamecock offense when you come back. The Gamecocks defense dominant in the first half. They had a 10-3 lead, but special teams misplays by South Carolina setting up Vanderbilt. And look at the quick turnaround there for that offense. 9.5 per play.
Is that sweet? Is that different right there?
Isn't it amazing how momentum can help an offense? You get big plays on special teams. All of a sudden, this is a completely different offense than what we saw at the beginning of the football game.
Unfelt to kick it away. And Colorado will have a chance at the 1. Chris Gulliver is free. And he brings it out across the 35. Play clock at 2. Just get it away. Rank doesn't really have that burst or the shiftiness of Davis. He gets just 2 yards, and I would think they want to get number 25 back in there soon.
Well, Steve Spurrier Jr. keeping the football on the ground right now. You wonder if there's some concern now that Kenny McKinley is out of the game. Who do they turn to throwing the football? Kenny McKinley, 77 receptions a year ago. That broke the school record. He's the active leader in the SEC in receptions and receiving yards. Who steps up now as they empty the backfield? Who are they throwing this football to? Who are they comfortable with and confident in?
2nd and 13. 5 receivers, and they bring pressure. The blitz is picked up, and Smelley fires complete. It's Cook again, lowering his head across midfield, just short of a first down. Lewis on the stop.
I really think we're going to start seeing this from South Carolina. They're going to go back to this empty backfield. They're going to move Jared Cook around to create different mismatches and match up problems for this Vandy defense. And even if it's just 6, 7, 8 yards at a time, he's by far been their most consistent receiver.
And what they have on their sides right now is they've only got about 50 seconds to go into the wind. Yeah, they're going to get turned around here in just a little bit.
3rd and 1. Smelley leaning very close at the 47-yard line. They're trying to really operate. It is a first down, shorthanded now. Mike Davis not in there. McKinley again out for the game. This is a shorthanded offense. And they pick up pressure, and it's easy. Pitch and catch. He stepped out of the 39, but once again, the tight end flexed out, open.
You just got a sense defensively who the guy that's hurting you is, right? And you figure out a way to stop him. And he's out there, and when they go empty sets, Jesse, they got to go out there and find somebody, a strong safety at a minimum to cover it.
They've been trying so far in this game to line up a weak side linebacker. Patrick Benoit and Nathan Campbell have both struggled with him, taking him on.
You know what this really signifies here, Signals? When you have a secondary that's tired and beat up, you got different guys in there. They're not communicating, perhaps.
Well, they better start paying attention to 84. He's got 6 catches. And there's a no gain up the middle. Nothing for Rank. And that'll be it. 15 minutes to play. Vanderbilt protecting a 7-point lead. Is this the night they finally get that breakthrough home win over a ranked team? Not known as one of the more rocking atmospheres in college football. The folks here on a blackout for the student section, leading Steve Spurrier, trying to make it 2 straight years over South Carolina. And there's a telling statistic. At South Carolina, only once has a Spurrier team come from behind when trailing after the 3rd quarter. That was a monumental win at Tennessee 3 years ago. Now, Davis, this is good news. He's back in the game. Aaron Andrews telling us it's kind of a mild quad injury. They need him, though, in this 4th quarter.
Now that Kenny McKinley is out of the football game, they really cannot afford to lose Mike Davis at this juncture. Down by 7. They got to get back in. They have to be able to run the football to get back in this game.
And you know what? That time, the right guard, Heath Batchelor, pulls around into the hole, leading them up in there, doing what the offensive line's supposed to, create the opportunity.
It's the 6th time tonight, and Mike Davis has carried the ball for a first down. Empty set. And first down for Smelley. There's a throw to the near sidelines. Some pressure up the middle. He was looking for Cook, but that time Myron Lewis was in the neighborhood.
You know what? This is obviously really dangerous right there. If you go back to the well too many times, Jesse, you're going to get burned on it. They're trying to pick the guy covering Jared Cook, and that time Vandy sniffed it out.
Myron Lewis did a very nice job sniffing that out, just keeping his eyes in the backfield, watching Chris Smelley and feeling Jared Cook running into the flat.
And you saw Kenny McKinley there in street clothes, injured. Robbie Johnson needs his defense to make a play. They're in field goal range for Suckup, but it's just 2nd down. There's a high throw, incomplete. Once again, he locked in on the tight end Cook, but now they're starting to pay attention. Patrick Benoit was close by.
You know, and that's a catch, really, that Jared Cook makes. Really sets him up nice to get him back in field position. They've gone to this play a couple times now. You see Jared Cook on the left side, sticking his hand in, able to jar it loose. Nice job defensively by Vanderbilt.
Got there just in time. Cook was about to tuck that ball away on 3rd and 15. There's a short throw. Mo Brown gets a couple blocks. Doesn't get the first, but does set up a makeable field goal attempt. Ryan Hamilton on the stop.
Craig, you mentioned it earlier. Talk about this advantage now. South Carolina having the win with them in the 4th quarter, down by 7 points.
For this exact reason right here. You know what? Here you go. You got a shot at 3 as opposed to the other direction. You don't.
Now, Stephen Flint, not Tommy Beecher, is the holder. It's a different holder for Suckup. Remember, his last attempt was blocked. And this one's from 49 yards. Missed it. And plenty of leg, but it drifted to the left. So Vanderbilt hangs on, and Bobby Johnson's team gets the football back, up by 7 in the 4th. And the home of country music here in Nashville. For so many years, so often it's been the blues that Vanderbilt faithful have been singing here, but maybe tonight's the night. This was the field goal attempt by Ryan Suckup, and after that 5-yard delay of game penalty, that could have been really crucial. Had that been 5 yards closer, I think it's good.
Well, the last 2 series for South Carolina, 12 plays, blocked field goal. 12 plays, missed field goal. 2 things there, not converting, and Vandy's defense getting tired staying on the field.
Disappointment from McKinley. Nothing he can do but act like a cheerleader on the sidelines. Now Vandy would love to choose some clock, but they're going to throw it on 1st down. Nixon to a wide open receiver, and rumbling down near midfield is Austin Monahan, the tight end, who picks up 18 yards. They start to feel a lot better if they could make it a 2-score lead. Hawkins. Oh boy, he is just grabbed as he cut back. The crowd thought it was an obvious face mask call. There is no flag down. Travian Robertson made the tackle.
How in the world do you miss that call?
That is as obvious as it gets.
Oh boy,
that's terrible. Look at Bobby Johnson, rightfully so, man. Fired up man.
That's the kind of one you'd expect to see 3 or 4 flags come flying in.
I was waiting.
How does everybody miss that?
I was waiting for him to become out.
Hawkins just keeps hammering ahead. Norbert on the stop.
You know what was on my mind? Not only was it a face, I was thinking if it wasn't that it was a horse collar or something throwing down,
15 yards one way or the other.
It's 15.
Now, there's no such thing as a 5-yard face mask penalty this year. That's a rule change, but that would have been 15 in any year.
Absolutely.
All right, regroup though, and South Carolina though on the other side, they need to take advantage of a real big gift they were given.
Vanderbilt just 1 of 8 on 3rd down tonight. Nixon pressured immediately, fires incomplete. And now a flag comes in. Captain Mutterland once again defending. Jasper Brinkley came flying through to force the quick throw.
Ellis Johnson, the defensive coordinator of South Carolina, dialing up a cover 0 defense. That means there's nobody deep in the middle of the field to put pressure on the quarterback.
Pass interference, defense number 1. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic 1st down.
And you talk about the composure right now, Jesse, that South Carolina might not have. Ellis Johnson's got to somehow call timeout, whatever, get him back. But Mutterland does go through the receiver before the ball gets there, trying to get to it, and Graham didn't have a chance.
It's because he went through his back. If he comes through the side, then on the way to the ball, that is not going to get called this year. But he runs through the back, and look again, Captain Mutterland, composure. He's one of your leaders on defense. Maybe losing a little bit of that.
And he's out of the game, replaced by Addison Williams. On 1st down, Nixon to Hawkins. Hawkins hurdling through a little crease there. Hammers inside the 20. 8 more yards, Aaron.
Guys, last year when Vanderbilt beat South Carolina, there were a couple of comments made by the Gamecocks. Manuel Cook told reporters, we just lost to the sorriest team in the SEC, Captain Munnerlyn. He also mentioned the fact that it was an early game and the fact that the team just didn't have a lot of energy. I have to tell you, the head ball coach blasted both of those guys, saying, look, you lost to a good team and you didn't play well at all. Now, guys, players came out and apologized for their comments. And by the way, speaking of comments, Captain Munnerlyn got a lot of them when he came over to the sideline. The key word, calm down.
Jared Hawkins is the tailback, and he's got it. And he's got a first and goal, spinning to the end zone. They're starting to really believe now in Nashville. Vanderbilt a conversion away from a 2-touchdown lead over the 24th ranked Gamecocks.
Craig, you and I were just talking at break about how much we've enjoyed watching Jared Hawkins run the football tonight. That north-south stuff is great.
Onfeld with the conversion. North-south and right through the tackle of Darian Stewart into the end zone.
You know, Chris, before the game, we were down there watching him warm up, and you said, you know what, Hawkins is a little thicker than I thought he was. He's using those pads behind those legs, getting into the end zone.
All of a sudden here, Vanderbilt protecting a 2-touchdown lead, 9:28 to play. The last 3 possessions have all been touchdowns. It's amazing how in this game, the smallest little play can turn things around. It was the muffed punt, the ball hitting the up man in the foot, Ryan Hamilton falling on it. That set up the touchdown pass. Nixon to Barton on the very next play, and all of a sudden, this team that had gained 50 yards in the first half had momentum. Here's the squib kick, fielded by the Gamecocks, and a good run out across the 45-yard line by Larry Freeman. Pressure, but Smelley has a man. LaCorn shakes a tackle and gets down to the 40. Myron Lewis couldn't grab him.
If you're South Carolina right now, there's more than 9 minutes left in this quarter. Yes, you're down 14 points, but there's a lot of time to run your stuff, execute the offense. It's not panic time yet, but you wonder if Vanderbilt smells a little bit of blood, Craig, because I don't know if South Carolina has a home run threat on this field right now.
Yeah, and if you're Vanderbilt's defense, you want to bend, not break, but you want to break yourself by giving up a lot.
5 receivers. Deep backfield, again a 4-man rush, and again pressure. Smelley shows some escapability. Get down, nope. Get to the outside, and a huge scramble for Smelley to the 25. He picked up 25 yards.
You know what? When you watch this replay, how many Vanderbilt defenders miss Smelley? Count them as he goes. 1, 2 from behind, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it takes 5 guys and he gets downfield.
I think like me, the Commodores thought maybe he was going to fall down, slide in the middle of the field. Instead, he got the edge. Huge gain, one of the biggest plays for the Gamecocks all night. Smelley, and it's Cook again. About 9 yards. Jared Cook has now caught 7 balls tonight. Benoit has been the guy trying to cover him most of the time.
South Carolina is in passing mode right now. They've played most of this drive in the empty backfield. Jared Cook now over 100 yards. He's got 103 on the night, and he's really been eating Patrick Benoit up when they line up outside the spread.
And he's out of the game, so you've got McKinley out of the game and your top receiver Cook out of the game.
Wesley Saunders, the backup tight end, is also a pretty good outfit. He replaces Cook. Underneath, it's Mo Brown who catches it. Mo Brown has a first and goal. And if you're Vanderbilt, we said, yeah, they're feeling good, but guys, this is a feeling that's familiar. They've felt this before. Having the lead, they've done that. Holding the lead, that's been the trick. And the Gamecocks on a huge drive here.
This is a tired Vanderbilt defense. The previous 2 drives had been 24 snaps. We know the secondary, after Aaron's told us, they're cramping up and they're tired.
Smelley is slant. Touchdown. Going up and getting the ball was Freddie Brown, his first career touchdown.
The middle of the field has really hampered the Vanderbilt defense tonight. The tight end has hurt them in the inside. Now you've got an outside receiver coming from the outside, Freddie Brown. Just nobody there in the middle of the field.
It's a beautifully designed play because the slot receiver, Mo Brown, tucks DJ Moore up, and that opens the back of the end zone for Chris Smelley to throw the slant. That is a staple play in Spurrier's playbook.
Suck up, cuts the lead to 7. What a drive for Smelley, guys. He was 4 for 4 for 41 yards. Had that 24-yard run, and they overcome that 15-yard holding penalty.
At the middle of the field, a humongous individual effort by Smelley on the scramble.
I'm surprised USC's good, fellas.
Yeah.
Talk more about that Ohio State game next week. This is DJ Moore. And Moore jukes around, gets dropped at the 18-yard line, and now a big series for this Vanderbilt offense because that was a quick touchdown drive for South Carolina, and there's a lot of time to play going into the wind here. The last 3 drives have ended up in the end zone. This is Walker. They fake it to him. Nixon changes directions. He got smacked in the middle. Emmanuel Cook, a safety, just knocked Nixon to the ground.
You know, the danger right now for Vanderbilt offensively is going 3 and out and giving South Carolina the football back. That Vanderbilt defense, Craig, we were talking about earlier, they've been on the field a lot now in the second half, and they really need their offense to come out, sustain a drive, bleed some of this clock, and just let them get their wind back.
About 20 more snaps that the Vanderbilt defense has been on the field.
Yeah.
So they're tired, they're gassed, they've got a bad secondary right now.
Yeah.
They've got to have a big play from somebody, and usually it's Nixon, the quarterback, that's going to pick them up.
Well, he hands it off to Hawkins, and that north-south runner just gets slammed to the ground. Brinkley and Sapp sets up a 3rd and long.
So here's your deal. Now you're sitting there and you're the offensive coordinator. You're like, what do I do? Am I going to take a chance on throwing the ball and having an incompletion with the clock stopping? You're trying to get that thing to tick, tick, tick.
Oh, you got to get this thing bleeding right now. You got to use as much of this 40-second play clock as you can. There's Ted Kane dialing it up.
But do you throw it or run it?
I run the option. We saw them earlier. They get a lot of that counter misdirection. You get Hawkins on the perimeter.
It hadn't been that successful, the option. There's a quick throw. Graham. He can't get the block he needs. Eric Norwood, a big old guy, nearly 290 pounds out there in the perimeter making a tackle. 3 and out for the Commodores. Punting into the wind now.
I thought that was very impressive by South Carolina's defense. After watching some of the mental breakdowns now they've had these last couple drives, they come out, they're stout, they're giving their quarterback a chance to get the football back around midfield, down 7 points with about 5 minutes left in the game. Great job by that defense.
There's a pressure punt now for Brett Upson. Drives it low, but the wind just knocks it down. Munnerlyn lets it bounce, and this time the Upmen get away from it, but South Carolina will take over on the plus side of the field at the 49 with 4:55 to work with. Jared Cook is back in the game. Empty backfield for Smelley on 1st down. They pick up the blitz. The ball, I thought, tipped at the line, but complete. LaCorn almost got away, just fell down.
How about South Carolina's receiver stepping up? Kenny McKinley, their star, goes down. Jared Cook steps up as a tight end. LaCorn's there. You've got Brown, touchdown pass.
And LaCorn got away there, just slipped down to the ground after a 5-yard gain, or he would have run a long ways. They bring pressure again, but Smelley picks it up, and there's Cook one more time. Inside the 35, 1st down.
Chris Smelley's looking really good. He's looking really on rhythm. You see Kenny McKinley on the sidelines getting his guys fired up, but Chris Smelley right now really is in rhythm. He's in sync with what Coach Spurrier and Coach Spurrier Jr. are dialing up for him on offense.
Jared Fagan, number 20 out there. He's backing up, and he's the number 2 guy. Speed is out, so not quite the hug coverage that you might have had from your first teamer.
Smelley has hit in his last 7 pass attempts. Takes his shot. That breaks the string of completions. LaCorn was well covered by Lewis that time. Jared Cook making a strong case for all-SEC tight end in the early part of this season. Cornelius Ingram for Florida injured and out, and Cook looks the part of an all-conference guy, doesn't he?
And we were told, you know, last week before that NC State game that Coach Spurrier, they expected him to have a big year. He only had 2 catches against NC State a week ago, but it's unfortunate that Kenny McKinley goes down. It takes that for him to start catching more balls. He's really answered the bell here tonight.
Cook is out, replaced by Saunders. He's in the slot. Smelley dodges the rush, but goes down at the 40. Greg Bellinger was at a nice ball game. Just got enough of him to knock him down.
You know, the strength and conditioning program here at Vanderbilt is designed to have more of a natural athlete, right? You know, it's not all weights. They do a lot of tire hitting. They do sled pulling. They do a lot of different things so that these guys can be fresh and have a drive about them in the 4th quarter right now.
Smelley pressured and hit from behind. Old Steven Stone getting in on the act in a stout stand from this Commodore defense. 4 sacks, but after the Gamecocks take over at the 49 and make some positive plays, the pressure gets to Smelley.
You can't really blame that either on the offensive line. That's a coverage sack. I mean, they break the pocket. Keep coming.
But how about the inexperienced defensive line stepping up here late in the game, getting pressure when they need it the most?
Spencer Lanning trying to knock it down in there close to the goal line. Does a very good job, and this will roll out inside the 5. All these Vanderbilt fans have seen this so often. Close, sometimes with the lead, trying to, knock off one of the heavier weights in the SEC, if not a heavyweight in South Carolina.
That's what
their offense 3 and out. And everybody in here thinking, Craig, that here comes South Carolina. They're going to tie the game. They take over in plus territory, and a great stand. Some gambling calls by Bruce Fowler. They brought pressure on Smelley, and it worked.
It did work, and this is now the time for the offensive line again to step up. They can't be conservative. They got to be smart. They're on the 5-yard line, but they also have to understand that they've got to make a play offensively.
I think they'll be pretty conservative, don't you, Jesse?
Well, I just think considering the wind right now, you're back in your own end. You certainly don't want to give the football right away to South Carolina, but who can make a play for Vanderbilt?
That's Jared Hawkins. That's a pretty nice gain on 1st down. Gets about 7. If they could get just 1 first down, that would accomplish a lot in bleeding the clock.
That's huge.
And how about Jared Hawkins, the running back? Jeff Jennings was their starter. He's out, banged up shoulder, couldn't play. So there was a question whether or not Hawkins could come in and carry the load for this team.
And he's not just carried the load, but I think he's carried a physical presence with him as well. He's really given a lot of the abuse to the South Carolina defense. He's been banging. He's been a really, really nice surprise here today for Vandy.
67 yards. 2nd and 3 in this Gamecock defense, which has been so dominant. First game and a half this season. They need to step up now. Hawkins hammers for a 1st down. Frustration for the ball coach. Could this be a 2nd straight loss to Vanderbilt after he'd beaten them 14 straight times at 3 different schools? Hawkins hurdles a man, gets across the 20. And they'll burn another timeout. This is clearly going to be the last stand this series for this Gamecock defense. And the wind howling here. 2nd and 7. And the Gamecocks out of timeouts. Hawkins almost slipped as he got the football. Very short gain. Ajibon with a stop. But the Gamecocks can now not stop the clock. Again, 40 seconds after the end of the play. It's when you've got to run the next one. So it is pretty easy to bleed the clock in this situation.
You take it down to 45 seconds here, then on 4th down you have to punch, you can bleed another. It just really allows you to milk the clock and blow it up.
And look at South Carolina, look at some of the players. They're sick to their stomachs because tonight they have not been able to get out of their own way. With 2 interceptions thrown in Vandy territory, all the special teams miscues that have led to Vandy points. It's a sickening feeling on the sideline right now for South Carolina.
They snap it at 2 seconds, and Hawkins breaks up near the 30. That's a first down, and that'll do it. Bobby Johnson just chucks the headset down. They're going to take down the Gamecocks for the 2nd straight year, and they're going to do it in front of the home crowd here in Nashville. Spurrier's stay in the top 25 will be short-lived, and this is the highest-ranked victim for this football program since 1937.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But, you know, a great story, because talking to Coach Bobby Johnson yesterday, just getting the sense of how special it would be here, how important it could be here, that's just great.
Yeah, they did that last year, broke that string against teams, and now to back it up. When the Gamecocks came in here payback-minded, the Commodores have done it. They're 2-0. V stands for victory instead of very close, but not quite tonight. They are outspent, out-recruited every year. The perpetual underdogs in the SEC. And finally, they are above 500 in the conference. They win the conference opener. Chris Nixon got a lot of help tonight. He did not have to carry the load. Aaron Andrews with a very happy Bobby Johnson.
That's right, Chris. Coach, haven't beaten a ranked team here since 1992. I know you said you didn't want to put too much emphasis on a single game, but how does this feel?
Well, it feels great. I was very proud of our guys, the way they played in the second half. We overcame a lot from the first half, and they just kept plugging away. So I'm very pleased with their effort. I'm sorry I lost my voice. So.
What was the biggest adjustment you made going into the second offensively?
Well, we mixed up a few passes in there, and that allowed us to run the ball a little bit better. Our defense was playing so well the whole game that we feel like we could, you know, if we could get a score and get the game tied, it might pucker them up a little bit, and, you know, it worked.
You said yesterday you've suffered through your fair share of heartbreaks. What was your message to your team about finishing this one off tonight?
I didn't have to tell them. They were in there. They were angry in the first half. They knew they didn't play well. I just had to open the door.
Congratulations. Go enjoy this with your guys. Chris.
Thanks, EA. Sometimes the best coaching, just stay out of the way and let the players' anger fuel them. 3 touchdowns in the second half.
Well, I think Bobby Johnson nailed it ahead on. He said, you know, they got them puckered up over there. They certainly did.
24-17, Vanderbilt over South Carolina. For Craig and Jesse and Aaron and our entire team here in Nashville, I'm Chris Fowler. Sports Center is coming up next, and over on ESPN News, it is Post Game Extra. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Vandy gets it done. The Commodores